Good morning, everybody. Hope you're well. Welcome to today's stream, where we are in Milan. Let's look at those mountains. And we're heading back in our Airbus A330 back to Birmingham. Haven't landed in Birmingham for a long time. Looking forward to that. Harry, good morning. How are you doing? Hope you're well. Hope you're doing okay. So that's the plan. This is also the alpha version of the Headwind A330-900neo. So potential for a bit of unreliability, maybe, but I think we'll be okay. I think we'll probably be okay. The main reason I wanted to try the alpha version today is because I believe it has VNAV taken from the dev build of the fly-by-wire system on the A32NX. So I'm quite keen to give that a try. Tim, good morning. How are you? That, and we just haven't flown the A330 in a long time. I feel like I've been super into the 737 lately, which has been great. It's such a fun aircraft to learn. It's one of those where it's so similar in size and appearance to the A320, but it couldn't be more different inside, and I love that. I kind of love the learning journey of it all. Completely at peace with the fact that I'm not that great in it. It's the learning that keeps me coming back. I've said it before, but I think the day that I kind of know everything about this and can just perform landings perfectly like I'm some kind of human autopilot, it's probably the day I get bored and stop. So it's definitely about the learning journey. Which is kind of why with the channel I've never really professed to be this flight sim expert that you should follow to and listen and, you know, go to for advice. I mean, I'll help you if I can. But I'm very much in learning mode. And it's fun to share that with you all. So flight time today, I think, is about an hour and 45. And then we'll get ourselves back to Birmingham. No, Tim, we're using all standard scenery today. Fun fact, I've not bought one single airport for this game yet. That is about to change. But as we stand here at the moment, no, not bought a thing. Stream is a bit quiet today, as in volume or chat. Looking at the figures, we're off to a good start from numbers point of view. Normally it takes a little while to warm us up. Alrighty, let's jump into the flight deck. I'm in the showcase camera view, aren't I? Right, back into the cockpit. Here we go. So as you can see, we are fully cold and dark. So let's get our batteries on. So battery 1, battery 2. We have external power available, so I suggest we use it. And let's get the APU master on. That's funny, Harry. I don't know why the audio would be any quieter than normal. Looking at my levels here on OBS, my mic is kind of peaking exactly where it normally does. Not entirely sure what to say. Interesting to see the runway undulation BHX on standard. It's done well in the paid version. I'll be honest, I've got high hopes, simply because if you look at Bristol on the default, that has, you know, Bristol's almost a giant hill, really, and that is represented very, very well indeed. Let's load up the fly pad here. Let's import our SimBrief data. There we go. So that's phoned home to SimBrief where I've made this flight plan. And let's see if we get a jet bridge. Can we get a jet bridge? Yes, we can. Is the jet bridge going to go to the right place? Yes, it is. Let's go into the door further back, which is interesting. Yeah, Tim, that one at Bristol has caught me out many a time, especially in the wind. If I've been coming in and it's a bit windy and I've not done the nicest of landings. If you're coming in from the direction where almost the runway is going uphill away from you, you can almost end up grinding your landing gear into the runway as part of the flare if you're not careful. Leeds Bradford's a tricky one, Harry. I've only landed there a couple of times. Maybe even once now I think about it. Let's get baggage and catering while we're talking. And yeah, I found that to be a very tricky approach. It's kind of like scenery. The scenery around the airport I find to be quite a challenge. Similar to Bristol, actually, when you think about it. Because again, Bristol is up on a hill, and as you're coming towards the runway, the ground is kind of rising up towards you as you're coming down. It can be, you kind of got to keep your eyes on that runway threshold, because obviously if you start looking elsewhere, it can cause you a bit of a problem. It's quite a short runway at Leeds, isn't it? It definitely felt like I misjudged my auto brake settings. Yeah, and it felt like we only very... that catering truck is casually moving there. It felt like we only just made it in the Boeing, put it that way. Right, while that is doing that, we will jump in here. Let's download our fuel that we apparently need. Not a lot, it seems. Still, 15,000 kilos, which is more than I would normally take, but obviously in a plane this big, that looks such a small amount, but never mind. Payload, what are you doing for payload? Almost a full house. Almost. Ah, so we've got a white text now up here, which is cool. Right, let's carry on. Where was I? So we've got APU, that's available, so we'll take that now. I don't know why I clicked that, actually. So we'll turn on the APU bleeds, ready for engine start. We'll use our fuel pumps. I mean, we don't need the center ones, right? But unlike the Boeing, it doesn't seem to complain if you put them on and there's no fuel in the tanks. I don't know if that's true to life. Whether the plane's smart enough to know that they're on but they're not needed, so I just won't use them. I don't know. Maybe we need a real Airbus pilot to clarify that one for us. Emirates A380 got a bad hydraulic leak after a slight long landing last Friday and hitting the undulation hard at VHX. And then I see the same aircraft bent its gear at Gatwick yesterday. Wow. Can you imagine the money that cost? I don't know about you, but if I was a pilot and I'd caused that amount of damage, I would feel so bad. Like, I know these airlines are kind of big, giant, faceless corporations, but just like leaving work that day being like, yep, I caused, I don't know, probably millions of pounds worth of damage. Yeah, that must be something. It must really knock your confidence as a pilot when that happens. And presumably they must have like training programs, like if you have a bad run of like heavy landings and your confidence starts to go. That must be a real thing, right? Amongst pilots. Right, let's just test out these. Very good. So let's arm our emergency lights. We'll turn on the no smoking signs because it is not the early 90s. And we'll get our nav and logo light on. Get the crew oxygen supply on. Let's do our navs 1, 2, and 3. I'd say we're looking pretty good. We're looking pretty good. Alright, so this is all coming to life. We'll have alignment of our navigation systems in 7 minutes, apparently. You know what? When I first started streaming, I didn't realise you could change the IRS alignment to like instant. And I was live once and I said it and it was like available in 8 minutes and I was like, oh no, like what am I going to do for 8 minutes on stream? I felt such a pressure. I can't sit here and talk. I can't do that. I can do the flying, barely, but I can't just sit here and talk about nothing for 8 minutes. Yeah, I can tell you exactly who that is, Harry. We have a troublemaker among us. That's fine though, it's funny. Concerned with the maintenance aspect. Yeah, that's fair enough. After the incident at VHX, after the incident at VHX, it left 5 hours later that day. Yeah. I don't know, I mean, I guess it must be safe. Like, they wouldn't send it up if it wasn't. Thinking about it purely from a financial point of view, it's like, why would you send up a plane you know isn't right? Obviously, there's the moral and ethical side of it as well. But even if you kind of imagine this giant faceless corporation, it's just not worth their while, is it, to not do it right? Right, how are we doing? Are we nearly loaded? This thing takes ages to load, doesn't it? Nearly there, though. Nearly there. Okay, let's get rid of baggage and catering. Jolly good. Jolly good. Boarding completed. Lovely. We can get rid of the jet bridge. Cargo doors should now be shutting. There they go.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself,
3
the
minutes
captain,
to
the
go.
first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to see final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
There we go. Right, let's get this fired up. So, init request. Flex temp is -51. We'll remember that. 0 fuel weight is entered. Confirm the block fuel. In the performance, remember that -51. We'll put that in the flex 2 temp. Do a flaps on for takeoff. UP 0.1. Oh, I didn't do the U. I clicked too quick. UP 0.1. I believe A330 ops prefer that door for loading, so they can let... Oh yeah, I see, the whole first class thing. That's an interesting point, isn't it? Yeah, because you imagine if everyone boarded right from the front and you were sat in first class because you boarded early and you had all the economy passengers sort of brushing past you while you sit in your nice first class seat. Yeah, you can see actually why that would be the case, can't you? Alright, V1 145, V2 147, or VR, sorry, V2 153. Flight plan coming out of here. We're going to use runway 35 right. Then where are we going? Going direct to Aosta. Why do we not have any of our other waypoints? It's weird. Gonna arrive on the ILS 33. Using Hemi 1B. Let's insert that and see what we get. Good morning, Nick. How are you? So for whatever reason, it hasn't pulled in my flight data, which I'm a little bit weirded out by. That is a little bit weird. Might have to type some stuff in manually. So we've got... Why hasn't it done that? That's really annoying. I don't know if there's a way that I can kind of re-pull in that data. I'm not sure there is. Okay, let's see if we can just type some stuff in here to add to the flight plan. There's a load of stuff missing. We'll try UM729. Doesn't want to do that, does it? Destination E4 below min. Let's have a look here. Maybe we just have to fly in a straight line, because I probably don't have time to sort this out. Okay, we don't want to do Grove, because that's going to take us around. We don't want to do Oscott either. Don't particularly want to do Hon, if we can get away with it. We do that? Yes, we can do that. Good morning, Brian. How are you? Strange. Okay, let's see if we can add a couple more waypoints in here. We'll go for Molus, M-O-L-U-S. We'll do that. Let me type it in. M-O-L-U-S. If I type it in there, will it do that? Yeah, it will do that. Maybe it needs to go to here. Right, so we need UM729. Man, it's not in the database. And Pirag. Going to be that one. And then Kunav. Then we go over Biggin Hill. Got to be that one, right? You would think. Maybe not. Okay, let's see what the plan thinks it is. So out of here, Sota, Mollusk, Pireg, Kunav. Yeah, big. It does not like that big, does it? Let's try the other one. Yeah, that's the one. Nice. Alright. That'll do us. That'll do us nicely. That's enough of a flight plan. Let's get ourselves pushed back and get out here because time is ticking. If you come in by a Hon, it leaves you too high. A lot of VHX approaches are under director and are vectored now. I didn't know that. Okay, so maybe if we do need to lose some altitude, we'll keep that in mind. Thank you for that. 83% humidity, 34 degrees. Yikes. Yikes, indeed. Well, good luck with that, Brian. Okay, let's put on the pushback system. Cool the tug. Everything's disconnected otherwise, that's good. How you doing, Nick? You okay? Right, let's release the parking brake. And let's go. Oh yeah, well remembered, Nick. We will do the cam for the taxi and the takeoff, then we'll get the map on shortly after takeoff. I think that's probably the sensible thing to do. Right, when do I need to start turning? Are we able to go a bit quicker? There we go. I do quite like this pushback system. It's not bad as something like the, you know, given that it's not one of these pre-planned ones. Alright, see if we can get an engine start. Why is the pushback system stopped? I was literally just praising it. That sounds like an engine starting. That's what we like. It stopped again. Why'd you keep stopping? No, Nick, not today, unfortunately. This is going to be a one-way trip. You never know, you might get lucky. We might get a go around. Oh, KW, yeah. It's alright, I think I know who that is. It's all good though. Nice. Parking brake on. Tell the tug to go away. Go. How are we doing with our engines? Okay, let's put auto brakes to max, and we will lock the doors, turn on predictive wind shear, arm the auto brakes, flaps to 1. There they go. $23 votes in total. There we go. Let's turn that one on just to see what's going on. Get the engines back into normal. Should have had my beacon on for all of that, really. That was my bad. Get our taxi lights on. We don't need the APU. Now we've got our engine started. And we will set our TCAS. To standby. So if we were to do a takeoff config now, need to do seatbelt lights on. I thought I did that. Oh no, obviously not. Never quite sure which button it is I'm supposed to press up here. For the cabin. It would seem the forward one is the one we press. Right. Let's get 360 in the window. Yeah, it's basically the same, Harry. They are working on a different version, though, I believe. What's local pressure? I haven't set local pressure. 1018. There we go. Right, who's up for a taxi? Let's get the yoke cam on. Just got to remember that this thing feels like a container ship when you're taxiing it around on the ground. It really does. Learning VATSIM, KW. I am kind of doing it off stream though. I don't really think I'm up to standard yet, put it that way. Set our runway heading of 348. Yeah, this thing feels so heavy compared to the A320. Absolutely enormous by comparison. I do love the sounds of this. If we just give the throttles just a little bit. You hear that? Sounds so good. Love it. Love it, love it. Okay, so we want 3-5 right. So we're going to need to cross 3-5 left, presumably. Cross at the back. I think we do. I think we do. Wow, this thing feels so heavy. Really, really does. Okay. Let's get our lights for takeoff sorted before we head on out.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Got quite a heavy plane today, almost a full house. So have to keep an eye on that as we come into land at Birmingham. Is my FPS taking a hit? Feels like it is. Oh, yeah, maybe a bit. Maybe a bit. Thank you, Harry. Now then. We need to get over there. And not go over here. I always forget just how much rudder input you got to give this thing to get it to do anything at all. So all being well, we should get into Birmingham around midday. It should be just the right amount of time. Look at that scenery. Bet this is an amazing airport in real life to fly in and out of. Not dissimilar to Pisa. Pisa's always a good day out. I feel like I have to taxi way slower in this thing. I do love those engine sounds. That's the one thing I find is missing from the fly-by-wire besides VNAV. Engine sounds and VNAV, and the ability to do RNAV landings. I'd say fly-by-wire is, for me at least, more or less feature complete. So this is the alpha version of this aircraft, which may explain some of the weirdness we had earlier with the loading of the flight plan. Right, let's just head on straight out. But what it does give us is VNAV. Here we go. Right, cleared for takeoff. Seatbelts on, tray tables up. We're just going to hold it on the brakes. Everything looks good. Takeoff config remains normal. So we'll hold it on the brakes till about 40% N1. And away we go. Let's rotate. Positive rate. Let's get that gear up. Just going to follow those flight directors. Fly the first little bit by hand. Really does sound like an A330. These sounds are like so reminiscent of he was about to climb. Alright, here we go. Let's start that turn. View. Amazing. Out the front's not bad either, is it? Right, let's get that autopilot on, shall we? Too bad the clouds are kind of blocking our view a little bit. But they are very nice clouds nevertheless. Standard pressure. There we go. Good to disarm the auto brakes, flaps are up. Coming up on 10,000 beats. Get the landing lights off. Oh, it wasn't on. My bad. Which A330 do I use, Harry? This is the Headwind A330-900, but I'm using the Alpha build. In the Headwind installer, you can change between stable and the Alpha build. So I'm in the Alpha build only because I wanted to try out the VNAV, really. That's the main reason. Those mountains. Oh, sorry, Brian. No, I must have missed that during the kerfuffle with the setting of the route. My apologies. What was the message? Good news is temperatures dropped to 66 degrees from 95. The side up. Whoa. Okay. That is a massive difference. That's CPU, right? Not GPU. That is a huge difference. You almost wonder if a better performing airflow case might actually help you. Presuming you want to leave the side on, because obviously case having the side off, you could potentially run into like dust issues and things prematurely. That's a huge drop though. That's amazing. Do you know what case you have? So I'm curious how we're actually going to track the flight plan on the minimap today, given what a mess we had. I don't know why it did that. It just didn't load all the other waypoints. I was expecting it to load in from Simbrief. It loaded the departure airport, the destination airport. I obviously then added the SID and the star, although we didn't actually have a SID coming out of Milan. And there was just nothing in between. So I did add some of the waypoints that it had in its database, though some of them that Simbrief wanted me to add it did not have in its database. So just looking at the minimap, it looks like we have a right turn coming up. Are we also going to be doing that right turn? It looks like we are. That was obviously one of them that I added. I really can't believe that, Brian. That is like over 30 degrees difference. Almost 30 degrees difference. That's unbelievable. Just from taking off a side panel. Okay, is everything behaving up here? I think it probably is. Seems to be. almost at top of climb. And there we go, there's the VNAV, so to speak, that little marker there, showing us that is when we're expected to reach our top of climb, so in about, ooh, what's that, 18 miles? Oh, no worries, Harry. Enjoy the flight. What are you, do you know what you're flying on? Like what aircraft? I'm a little bit jealous that you get to go on an actual plane today. Yeah, safe travels. Enjoy the flight. $737, nice. Very nice. Well, have a great flight. Oh, Jet 2, never flown with them. You too, I guess. Well, yeah, I'm not sure this strictly counts, but yeah, I appreciate it. Anyway, you have a great flight. Have a safe trip. I'll speak to you soon.
Also, one more reminder to please refrain from congregating to the front galley where the flight deck door is located. Thank you.
Alright, that would be cruise. So interestingly, the stats at the top of the screen say it's only 1 hour and 3 minutes until we get to Birmingham. It's not a bad view out the window, is it? That is not a bad view. So it looks like we're kind of straddling the French-Swiss border at the moment. Got Geneva coming up on our left. I don't know if we're able to actually see that much of it. No, not really, not from this angle. I think that's Geneva Airport down there though. I seem to recall landing there once. I remember coming in over a big lake. I presume that's what it is. There we go. So the stats at the top of the screen are showing a slightly different altitude. Only slightly though. Everything else seems under control. How far is it until top of descent? 272 plus 50. Okay, so 322, 21. About 350 miles until top of descent. Which isn't actually that far, is it? Do we look out the left or out the right? Looks like we're past most of the mountains now. That's a nice view. As is that. Go with this one for a minute. Maybe better angle like that. Okay, it's definitely that time. We are now in cruise, which means it's time for me to go and grab a coffee. I'll be back in a couple of minutes. You will enjoy the views, and I'll speak to you in a moment. Right, I'm back. Sorry, Brian, I think your message came through just as I was in the kitchen making coffee, away from the mic. Yes, I did say something else. I was asking what case you actually had. Because that seems like quite a dramatic drop in temperatures from removing the side panel, which indicates that there's not enough airflow going through that case. So I just wondered what case you had in case it's one I'd heard of or maybe knew something about. That was all. Right. Everything good up here? It does look like it. We've got quite a strong wind, haven't we? Quite a strong wind indeed. Should probably let the passengers out. Only reason I mention it, Brian, is I know that my case is especially bad for airflow. Like the front panel of it, if you Google it, it's an NZXT H510. The front panel is just solid metal, and there's a very small grill on the right side panel to let air in. And yeah, the reviewers obviously didn't like it for that reason, but I got it cheap on a Black Friday deal. And for the system that I have, 5600X 3070, the consensus is that actually the case can cope with those components, but if I was to put in components such as what you have, I think it'd be a very different story indeed. How far are we now from top of descent? 280. You advised of this case, but you thought it was too small. I mean, the size doesn't necessarily dictate good or bad. It's more about how the case can manage the airflow coming in and obviously getting it back out again. Because you want air kind of passing over those, passing through the case. I was looking at some cases the other night. I was kind of figuring if I was going to drill some holes into my wall to sort of pipe out the extraction from the exhaust on the PCs, I figured maybe I should upgrade the case such that I never need to buy another case again. Just like buy the biggest, bestest thing. I do like NZXT, I do like their kind of design aesthetic. MSI PG. Alright, I'm going to Google that. Hang on. Aha, okay, so it looks like you have a solid front panel as well, if I'm Googling the right case. You've kind of got the lights down the right-hand side of the front panel. Is that the right one? And you've got some vents that kind of go on the right-hand side and the left-hand side of the front panel. Is that the one? So, yeah, to me that front panel is probably massively restricting your airflow. I'm in a similar position myself with mine. Say solid front panel and it draws air in. I've got a grille that goes down the right-hand side of the front panel. So I can tell you, Brian, that if I've got 2 fans in mine at the moment. Oh, it's not that. Okay. I must be looking at something different. I'll have another look in a second. But given that I've got a solid front panel on mine, I've got 2 fans currently set to exhaust out the back and at the top. I have no front intake fans. Purely because there's really no need, because the fans that are drawing air out of the case naturally pull in the air from all the other vents around the case. Even if I insert 2 fans in the front, because that front side, the front panel being solid, makes literally no difference. The vents that are already in place along the side panel are already being used to their maximum with the 2 exhaust fans. Adding the 2 fans at the front make no difference at all. Okay, Brian, I'll have another look. Oh, okay. I think I see the one, Brian. Yeah, you can kind of see the 3 front fans from the left-hand side of it. Is it got an open grille on like the left-hand side of the front, and then there's more of a solid panel on the right-hand side of the front? Is that right? I mean, at least we know that your liquid cooler is not clogged up or anything, because obviously, if it was, you wouldn't be seeing temperatures of 65 degrees with the panel open, because if it's clogged, and it wouldn't be able to cool properly. So at least we know that part's good. Just trying to find some reviews on it, Brian, see if anyone mentions about airflow or anything like that, but I can't see anything obvious jumping out at me. I'm struggling to even find the case that you mentioned on MSI's website. Maybe it's an older one that they've discontinued or something. It's possible. Yeah, I mean, that being said, Brian, like, my shed can quite easily get up to 30 degrees. And my components don't skyrocket in temperature like that. I know you've got a much higher tier of components, but... I mean, like, right now I'm at 26 degrees in here, just because of the heat that the PC's been continually kicking off while we've been streaming. I mean, outside it's pretty cold and rainy today. I've got cold air being blown in through a tube with an extraction fan fitted to it, sucking air in from the outside, and I've got another one drawing the hot air out of the room. But it's still not enough. Brian's way ahead of you there, Tim. I was in Tesco's yesterday and I saw they had these little tiny evaporative air coolers that they're selling for about £40. I did stop for a moment and I was like, would that do anything in my case, I wonder? Alright, Paris coming up on the left. Whoops. Probably can't really see it. Charles, good morning. How are you? I don't know, Brian. Something strikes me odd about your case. Maybe are the fans like oriented in the right direction? It seems unusual to me that the components are getting that hot with the side panel on and are remaining that cool with it off. So clearly it can exhaust. The exhaust is working okay, because with the side panel off, the air can enter the case freely. Then the fans obviously blow over your radiator. I assume you've got one of those all-in-one liquid coolers. So that's all probably working perfectly. It's almost like there's a discrepancy of air getting into the case. Oh, Tim, you had one of those evaporative air coolers. Are they any good? I know, Brian, you said you struggled a bit in your big room to keep the room itself cool. Like, obviously, I'm stuck in a garden shed. It's only 2 meters square, not even 2 meters tall. I have to duck to get in it. I can't really stand up in here. I just sort of have to keep my head down and just sit in my chair. So by volume, it's quite a small area. I saw that like Screwfix had them for like 80 quid, like a reasonably big one. A water tank, I guess you chuck ice cubes in the water tank. Might be worth chucking 80 quid at it just to see. I'm sure it can probably be put to use elsewhere in the house if it doesn't work out in my case for the shed. So it actually drops the temperature of the room, or is it more like you have to be sat with it blowing on you to feel the effect? We can just see through the clouds there? It must be. Yeah, that's what puts me off, Brian, about putting an AC unit in here. The only thing that makes me think, well, maybe it would be okay, is that just because the room is so small, at 2 square meters, a big proper AC unit, even a portable one, you would think would be able to cool the room quite rapidly and then shut itself off and just keep popping on every now and then to maintain the temperature, which might keep the cost down. But October is when we leave our cheap legacy electricity contract and we have to start paying proper prices like everyone else, so it may not be the best time to even do that. The whole room. Okay, I may have to look into that. Could you maybe also put in, you know, you get those like, what are they called? Is it freezer blocks? Like those bricks that you put in your freezer and they go obviously frozen. And then you can like put them in a cool bag or a cool box. Could you just chuck a couple of those in the water tank and just top it up with water, I wonder? I'm sure we've got loads of those lying around. Well, I think that's Paris just going past us. That's a good point, actually, Tim. That's a very good point. Also, make sure they're wired correctly. I came across a PC build a little while ago where the fans were not connected to the motherboard fan headers. Instead, they were simply connected via those old Molex style connectors, if you know the ones I mean? The things that kind of preceded the SATA power connector. And they weren't dynamic fans in any way. They just span really, really low the entire time, which meant that they were spinning perhaps when they didn't need to, or faster than they needed to in some cases, but in a lot of cases when they were needed they would just remain at this really kind of low speed. Is there any mileage in popping it into a local computer shop, Brian? Didn't you have a local place build it? I wonder if they'd be. If you just said, look, it just seems to be getting really hot, it doesn't seem quite right somehow. Could you give it an hour or two and see if you could figure out why? Fair enough. Yeah, good call. Good call. And that will be the end of France. The channel up ahead. Which means we can't be that far away from top of descent. Yep, there it is. About 100 miles away. And we'll go over Biggin Hill and make our way into Birmingham. So Tim, I'll keep what you said in mind about us coming in high via Hon. So we'll see what that looks like. So we've got an outer fuel tank crossfeed notification. Just down there, but that's okay. because if we go into here and have a look, where am I going? Fuel. Yeah. So these outer tanks are cross-feeding into the near tanks. So I think the fuel is being drawn from this tank, and the fuel is being chucked from this tank into this one, if that makes any kind of sense. I feel like I'm explaining that very badly, but I know what I mean. Check the constraint. Okay. Yeah, it may all be a bit backwards because we had some issues. I don't know if you saw us on the ground. It wouldn't load in all of our waypoints. I had to do a lot of it manually. Let's have a look. Oh, I got rid of HON, didn't I? And it recalculated all of it based on the waypoints that were left. So looking at that, that looks like quite a gradual step down. Hopefully we'll be okay. I'll show you on the plan what's going on. So we're literally coming in, top of descent, big and hill, up round here and just straight in. Which, you know, it's not what you would do, but we had a bit of an issue with the flight plan, so we're making do today. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Haven't landed this one in a long time. In a long, long time. All I remember from the last few times is that you kind of feel that inertia, that it stays with you way more in this plane versus the lighter, nimbler A320-737. It feels like if you make a mistake in this, takes you a minute to bring it back. Whereas the A320 can be a little bit more forgiving. It's more like a nippy little speedboat, whereas this is more like an ocean liner. It's like you've made the mistake and then you've almost got to watch it play out in front of you for a little while before the correction can take effect. Similar to the 7.4. Just really want the 777 from PMDG. Because the schedule will be changing in the not too distant future. This will probably be my last morning stream for a while, which I'm a little bit sad about, but I don't know what else I can do. I'm in a bit of a corner with my schedule. But it does mean if, and this is all subject to change a little bit, but if it works out how I think it's all going to work out from September, Monday and Tuesday, I should have a massive amount of time during the day to stream. I say massive, from about 9 till 3. Now that's still subject to change, of course, but 9 till 3, well then we can start thinking about getting the bigger stuff out and doing some longer stuff, which is what I've always wanted to do. But of course in the time I have available right now, I can only do sort of 9 till 12, 12:30, and 12:30 I'm sort of panicking. If we land at like 12:20, I'm like, quickly, get the thing parked up, you gotta go. So it'd be really nice to get the bigger stuff out, start doing some longer flights. And it seems like it's the right time as well, because we've got A330s on the horizon, although I'm not quite sure what's going on with that Aerosoft one at the moment. We've got the A380 on the horizon. PMDG probably won't be too far away with their 777. And then presumably in the following sort of year or so we might get the 7.4. So in a way, while it's a shame that in the short term the morning streams have to take a back seat as we go through the summer holidays basically, because I'll be on childcare duty a lot more. Come September it could all pay dividends. He says, I hope not, I won't get anything done. Not guilty, Brian. Not guilty. So, it's going to be quite cool to test out the VNAV because we're in the alpha build of this A330. We've got top of descent coming up in around about 50-60 miles. So I'm just wondering how that's going to work. Not really familiar with how it works on the Airbus. Basically, we want to get down to 2,000 feet to pick up the final approach, pick up the glide slope and all that good stuff. So I'm wondering if I put in 2,000 feet into here, will it work like a Boeing? Let's just give it a little try. So if I hold my left click and then right click, put it into managed, the plane shouldn't do anything. Oh wait, it is. Okay, abort. Back up to 360. And now I've lost the ability to pop plane into a managed descent mode.
If you are up, once you return to your seat, we ask that you remain seated until the aircraft arrives safely at the gate. Pilot hands, please prepare the cabin for right.
Where's my top of descent gone? Hemel buzzard, yeah. And well in. Well, that's somewhat annoying. Descent mode, managed. Right, let's enter our destination data and then we'll think about getting down. Not sure what's quite going on there. Maybe lack of familiarity on my part. 1010, 230 and 11. Oh dear. Two, 3, 0 and 11. There we go. I'll just do 200 for radio. Temperature 17 degrees. Very good. Very good, very good, very good. So I'm a little bit confused about when we should start the top of descent. So we need to be at 260 by big. Well, let's see what it does. So what does that little squiggle mean? It seems to be okay now. It's come back, isn't it? I'm just wondering what these little squiggles mean. I'm not sure what that means here. So we've got a squiggle, we've got a magenta dot, and then we've got decel point there with another little arrow on it. Clearly not familiar with Airbus, VNAV, vocab. Oh look, we're nearly at the UK. So do you want to know what that little squiggle means? On there. So what are these here? This must be like a range, like a speed range that is considered acceptable. Would that be it? 286, which is where we are. So I guess that's like our upper speed range and that's our lower speed range that we're allowed to do. So at the moment it's targeting 220 for Hemel. So I've put in 2,000 feet up here because that's like the lowest we need to go before we pick up the glide slope. The plane has decided it's taken us down to 220. Whoops. Which we need to be at Hemel. So is that Hemel there? The dot. Yeah, it is. Okay, that makes more sense. What does that little blue line there mean, though? What does that mean? Also, what is that dot after Hemel? So I guess this flight level 275 is like a... Yeah, because that's dynamic, isn't it? That's adjusting. We're heading for Hemel, which is affixed to flight level 220. Where we are at big may vary somewhat depending on what happens on the way down. So if I give us some speed brakes, how will this change up here? We are descending at a slightly... No, we're not descending at a more aggressive rate at all, are we? Speed brakes are out for no reason, and it's making no difference to our descent rate, because the plane doesn't want to descend any faster, because it's already happy with where it's going to end up, it looks like. So let's lose the speed brakes. So Timmy, do you know what these little symbols mean? Do you know what the little blue squiggle is? And do you know what the pink dot beyond Hemel is? Is that when it wants us to... Used. I just don't know what the symbols represent, really, so I'm a little bit unsure as to what to expect. So far so good though. Now over there, south of England. Gatwick can't be far off, can it? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I do not like these stutters at all. Thought the sim's going to crash then for a minute. Airbus, as Boeing, will do 1,000 feet per minute until it hits its profile. Nice. Yeah, just still a bit confused as to what that blue squiggle means. Is that when we're expected to reach flight level 220? To me, the magenta dot indicates some kind of speed. I don't know. I feel like I'm just guessing now, really. If I knew what these symbols meant, I could maybe predict what was going to happen a bit better. Is that Gatwick down there? I think it is. Yeah, that'd be the two runways. You've got the terminal over to the right. I do like Gatwick. I feel like Gatwick is my flight sim spiritual home for some reason. Don't know why. Hits its profile, okay. What's that, the blue squiggle or the dot? You can tell I've been flying the fly-by-wire for too long. Doing it all manually. Now we've got all these automated systems. I'm like, wait, what? What's going on? Squiggle, okay. So do you know what the dot is? Thank you for this, by the way. I appreciate the guidance. So in theory then, when we hit this little blue squiggle, that's when we'll start doing more like a 2,000 feet per minute descent. That's for managed speed in descent mode, whereby it was slowed down. Yeah, okay, I thought it was something to do with speed. So I guess we may be in a situation then, if we want to maintain our descent profile and hit our speed targets, we might need to apply some drag. I'm not liking these frames per second, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, that's not feeling great, is it? 24, 25. Why is the CPU getting in such a state? As each day passes, I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to just building a monster of a PC. Europe, good morning. Hope you're well. We're just having a bit of an issue with the frame rate here at the moment, as is tradition. Change your name once again. Decided to do an overnight, and you woke up at the right time. Nice. You change your name again. Well, you'll always be Europe to me. Alright, let's get the passengers back in their seats. Okay, so is this where... We'll keep an eye on what happens here. This is where we're going to expect our descent rate to increase. Which I would hope it would do, because obviously we've got another 3,000 to drop by Hemel, which is a little over 10 miles away, so that would make sense. So let's see if it does it. So we're at 1,000 feet per minute. Why do I stream early in the morning? It's the only time I have, what with everything else going on in my life. Oh, we were just saying actually that's potentially subject to change from September. Don't worry, Nick, I'll let you know. Like I say, it might actually be to the benefit of yourself, Nick. There's potential that Monday, Tuesday I'm going to have a lot more time in the day to stream, maybe like 9 till 3. So we could do some longer haul stuff, maybe get the 747 out a bit more, and do some longer routes. But for the remaining days, I would then have to move exclusively to like evenings. Or just do nothing, but I don't really want to just do nothing. Okay, so we're coming up on 22,000 feet, which is good. That's where it wants us. Now where do we go after this? What's it going to do? Because I would expect it to continue descending, because by buzzard it wants us at 18.7. I mean, these are all calculated, of course. So yeah, we are continuing. We're a little bit off profile here, aren't we? Subscribe to 100 plus subs and I'm the only notification in 2 hours. Yeah. Yeah, I can believe that. What is going on in my frames? This may have to be an auto land at this rate, because I'm not going to be able to fly this. What's going on? Look at it. What is happening? Right, if the PC would just settle down. Let's give it some speed brakes. Blimey. Well, this is new. Look at that frame rate, it is like a yo-yo. It seems to be settling. No, it's not. Oh. Yeah, maybe I'll get one of those air coolers, Brian. Stick it in front of it. I wonder if it's something to do with this plane being an alpha build. I sort of knew coming into this that it might be a bit of a technical hiccup, but the other part of me wonders is we've just flown over Gatwick, so I wonder whether the Gatwick add-on I have is loaded in and caused issues. We need to wait for it to get out of memory before we can recover. There we go, we're locked at 30 again now. Didn't like something back there though, did it? Something clearly upset it. What it was, I guess we'll never know. Could be, Tim, yeah. The last few flights I've done starting at Gatwick though, man, they've been bad. Really bad. Just like irrecoverable frames per second that are very, very bad. Let's give it a bit more speed brake, see if we can help it just get down. Seems like we're under control though. I do, Brian. I sometimes use MSI Afterburner in combination with what's it called, Reaver Statistics Viewer, something, or Server. I forget what it's called. Or if you enable developer mode in the sim, this menu will appear at the top, and you can just display your FPS. So you can see we've got 30 FPS. I've got it limited to 30. That's why it's not going any higher. So really, I only see it a problem if it goes beneath 30. You can see your main thread here, how many milliseconds it's taking the main thread to do a frame. And you've got the GPU down here. And you can see the GPU is just chilling. It's doing hardly anything. It's the CPU that's getting in the way of things. We are also a little bit over on the GPU memory. Alright, I'm going to lose the mini-map because I think we can all basically agree now that we are almost at Birmingham and the track displayed on the map is just obviously wrong. Oh man, there's frames. So, given that we've got this little green dot down here, does that mean that we are off profile by quite a lot? We need that to sort of come back up to meet us in the middle here. God, these frames are terrible. I'm honestly a little bit concerned about how the landing's going to go. Right, let's give those speed brakes again. Get that speed down, so we're almost at 10,000. And also hopefully get us back on profile. See, if you look at the scenery up the top here, that's jumping around. You can see the tapes there jumping around. Yikes. Okay, if it will let me, let's get up here and do some lights. How is this plane for auto landing? I'm curious. Because I feel like if we're unable to fly it nicely, it might be the way out. It's having a nightmare, isn't it? It's up and down and up and down and up and down, isn't it? Something is definitely upsetting that CPU. Then even if we get it to do an auto land, if the plane and the sim isn't getting the frames it needs to calculate what's required for an auto land, then it's going to be a similar story, isn't it? Is it 1010 local pressure? I think it was. Oh, this is awful. Sorry about this. I really am. So when is our decel point? Oh, what's it complaining about? Speed brake's still out. My bad. So that's how bad the FPS is. I pressed the button for speed brakes and it did nothing. This is bad. Okay. Well, we'll see how this landing goes. I can't really promise anything. It's a bit of a shame. I would like to have done something a bit more, but I can't really fly it much like this. May have to be in approach mode. Get the landing system on. When are we going to start decelerating? Because we need to be at 210 knots by not very far at all.
2,500.
Let's get the gear down. Oh my goodness. This is impossible. Why is it doing this to me? Oh. This is absolutely horrific. Activate approach. Ah.
Flight attendants, please prepare for landing.
I think we are in approach mode, so if I do manage speed now. Oh man. Let's arm the spoilers. Are we doing approach mode? I hope so, because I really don't feel like we can fly this ourselves right now. Okay, gear is down. Auto brake medium will do. Flaps are full. Do we need to do AP1 and AP2? Cat 3 dual, there we go. Well, let's see, eh? Get the cam on just in case, but I feel like this is probably going to have to be an auto land unless things get significantly better. I was just about to say it's not looking too bad, but now it's stuttering again. Okay, it's got the glide slope. It's auto land at the minute, Europe, but the frames per second are so low, I don't really feel like I can... I mean, look at that. I don't know how I can possibly land this by hand. I don't know how the plane can land itself either, really. Why is it doing this?
$1,000.
If it sorts itself out, I'll try and take control, but I can't fly like this at like 5 frames a second. Oh, this is a shame. I'm sorry. Oh, man, that's a big hang there, isn't it?
500.
Yeah. No chance, I'm afraid, guys.
400. 300. 200.
Why is it doing it? Why has it done it like this?
$100.
Let's see how good it does auto land.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10. Retard.
Not very well, it seems. What is going on? That is ridiculous. Oh well. Sorry about that, guys. Technical hiccups. They do happen. Never mind. That's annoying. Slightly feel like we've thrown away the morning, really, but never mind. Barely taxi. Never mind fly. But at least we had a nice time over Italy and Switzerland and France. Just it all went a bit wrong. The nearer to Birmingham we got. I wonder if it's Gatwick. I feel like as soon as we got near Gatwick it all went a bit weird and it just didn't recover. I may have to remove that Gatwick scenery. So it seems even the autoland system can't land when it's got like 7 FPS, which is understandable. If you imagine the plane has got like a flow of data running through it, if that data only gets updated once, 7 times a second, then it can't make good decisions. Still, such is the way of things. If you're going to stream, if you're going to sim, sooner or later you're going to get a day where you get technical difficulties, and that is clearly what we've had today. So please accept my apologies. There's always next time. That's right, Nick. Always next time. Annoyingly, now the FPS is fine. Yeah, that's actually not bad. Oops. The frame rate now, Brian, let's have a look, is... well, still actually not that great. It's a bit better. 20s and teens. Like, there was almost a whole second there on approach where I think I saw 2 frames. Right, it's just not going to work out, is it? Oh, I mean, it could be the plane. It's an alpha build, but I don't think it's the plane. The plane was fine the rest of the flight. It was just as soon as we got over London. Still not happy though, is it? May have to clear out my community folder. Still, besides the last kind of 10 minutes, I've had a very nice morning. Thank you all so much for joining me. I'm still amazed that anyone at all turns up for these. But I am nevertheless incredibly grateful. It's always good fun to go flying for the morning or evening with you all. Now, where do we find that gate? I do like Birmingham as an airport. Nice little airport. I say little, it's not little at all, but it doesn't feel horrifically large when you're in it. Here we go, in here looks good. We've even got a little Marshall. I'm gonna have to stop there, buddy, otherwise I'm gonna run you over. There we go. There we have it. Well, a bit of a troubled morning, but these things are sent to try us, I suppose. I think you're the best streamer because you're honest about the problems, etc., and you're not afraid to say so. Oh, cheers, Brian. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what choice I have sometimes. You know, like things go wrong. That's one of the things I liked. I think what drew me to streaming actually, when I first started making videos. So on the channel, I first started out by making YouTube shorts. Then I tried to make some like landing videos, and I could feel myself getting drawn into like editing them to perfection to hide any mistake, because I couldn't allow people to think that I made mistakes, because I needed to be this big shot flight sim YouTuber that does everything perfectly. And actually, as soon as I went live for the first time and I started talking, it's like actually just, you know, it's like this pressure was lifted because it's live, things are going to go wrong, so just, you know, it's all good. I appreciate the kind words though, all of you. I appreciate the support. Thank you for the likes today. It's too bad we had a lot of votes for no you suck in the poll, but I've got a funny feeling I know who that was. Anyway, all being well, I will be back tomorrow evening UK time around about 7 PM UK time. I know I said I would do it last night, but I kind of got waylaid doing other stuff. I was editing a video which will be going live on my other channel maybe tomorrow, maybe even later today if I get a little bit of time this afternoon. what I'm doing is I'm doing a video exploring whether it's worth spending more money on RAM or not. So what I've been doing is I've been turning my XMP profiles on and off on my RAM to slow it down and speed it up, and then running benchmarks in various games, including Flight Sim, to see what the difference is. Didn't really feel like the right fit for this channel, just because it's more kind of PC hardware focused and obviously incorporates a lot of other games as part of the testing, so it didn't feel quite right for this one, but I will post a link to it in the community tab, so anyone that is interested could have a look. I thought the results were interesting, so if it helps some people, then it's all worth it. But until tomorrow, I will see you all very, very soon. Take the very best care of yourselves.